For today's video, we'll be taking a look at a new higher-end AM5 motherboard from Gigabyte that, in their own words, is designed for AMD's X3D lineup of gaming processors, the Gigabyte X870E AORUS ELITE X3D. Sporting support for the latest Ryzen 9000 series of processors, as well as the Ryzen 8000 series of APUs and CPUs, and not forgetting the older Ryzen 7000 series of CPUs, we'll be taking a closer look at the specs of this board to see if it's any good. Let's get started. To recap, AMD launched its Zen 5 Ryzen 9000 series of processors back in August last year, and the high-end X870E and X870 chipsets for the AM5 platform back in September 2024. January 2025 then saw the arrival of AMD's mid-range and entry-level 800 series chipsets in the form of the B850 and the B840. With the above in mind, Gigabyte unveiled 4 new X3D AM5 motherboards about 2 months ago, and I'd say that this is sort of like a midlife refresh for the brand's high-end AM5 motherboard offerings, so that they can pack in new features and improvements ahead of the arrival of AMD's next generation Zen 6 processors that are almost certainly going to be on the AM5 socket. These refreshes come with a very important improvement, in my opinion that is, to the whole lane sharing situation that we have with the first wave of X870E and X870 motherboards, where lane sharing between the primary PCIe 5.0 X16 slot for a graphics card and a second PCIe 5.0 M.2 drive is no longer a thing. I'll talk more about this later on in the storage section of this video. Now, to get in on the launch excitement, we'll be taking a look at the Gigabyte X870E AORUS ELITE X3D that, as its name implies, sports the X870E chipset and sits within the AORUS series of gaming-oriented motherboard offerings at the higher end, where it places above the gaming, Eagle, and ultra-durable series of motherboard offerings by Gigabyte. On that note, the board comes in a box that has an AORUS Eagle motif emblazoned on the front. Moving over to the rear of the box, we get the usual summary of specs for this board. We'll take a closer look at these specs later on in this video. On a side note, if you're new to the ALK Tech channel, do consider subscribing so as to keep up to date with the latest product releases in the PC hardware world. With that, let's have a look at the contents of the box by setting aside the motherboard for the moment. First up, we get a metal AORUS case badge. As well as a sheet of AORUS stickers. We do also get a multilingual installation guide like so. And this is accompanied by a regulatory information leaflet. Over in this section here, we get 2 SATA 3 cables. And these are accompanied by 2 packs of M.2 drive rubber pads, where they can be used to add additional support for your drives where needed. We also get a G connector that simplifies the process of hooking up your PC's front panel connectors to the motherboard, which is a nice quality of life feature to have. Moving over to this section here, we catch a glimpse of the Wi-Fi antenna that also includes the new Wi-Fi Easy plug connector that makes connecting it to and removing it from the motherboard a breeze. Onto the board itself, we see that Gigabyte has gone for a black colored PCB and black heatsinks, which feature splashes of grey motifs for added visual interest. The board comes with an integrated I/O shield design and has large heatsinks all around. Over on the rear of the board, we get a protective metal backplate that helps dissipate heat from the board, where it also comes with a stylized AORUS Eagle motif. Fans of RGB lighting for their PC builds will be pleased to note that the board comes with built-in RGB LEDs that can be found on the integrated I/O shield cover like so, as well as around the chipset heatsink area. The VRM heatsinks for this board are, as to be expected, sizable, and Gigabyte has included 16+2+2 power phases with 80 amp power stages. In case you're wondering, the X870E AORUS ELITE X3D uses an 8-layer PCB design, which is pretty premium. The X870E chipset has a dual chip design, and the said chips sit beneath a passive heatsink that's found beneath a large shared M.2 heatsink. And this leads us on to M.2 drive cooling, where Gigabyte's got you covered with M.2 drive heatsink coverage for all 4 M.2 drive slots that this board comes with, where the primary Gen 5 M.2 slot has its own dedicated heatsink, and the remaining 3 M.2 slots share a large common heatsink. For memory support, the X870E AORUS ELITE X3D comes with 4 DDR5 slots that, as of the time of publishing this video, features support for up to 256GB of RAM and the DDR5 9000 standard when overclocked. Naturally, the board also supports AMD's Expo technology, which are basically built-in overclocking profiles for DDR5 memory. In terms of front panel USB connectivity, we get a USB 3.2 Gen 2x2 Type-C front panel header, where this said port supports up to 65 watts of power delivery for fast charging. Correspondingly, we get an 8-pin 2x4 12V power connector that's to be hooked up to your power supply unit should you wish to enable the said fast charging feature. Closer to the bottom of the board, we also get 2 USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type-A front panel headers, with each header providing support for up to 2 USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type-A ports for a total of 4 ports. We do also get 2 USB 2.0 front panel headers along the bottom edge of the board, with each header providing support for 2 USB 2.0 Type-A ports for a total of 4 ports. Some interesting features to highlight. Back at the top of the motherboard, we get a set of status LEDs that can help with troubleshooting PC startup issues, a double-digit debug LED that can further help with in-depth troubleshooting of PC startup issues, as well as 2 onboard temperature sensor headers that can be hooked up to optional thermistor cables so as to monitor the temperature of components within your PC case. We do also get an onboard HDMI 1.4 port that forms part of a feature that Gigabyte calls Sensor Panel Link. Now, Sensor Panel Link is a great quality of life feature that taps on the trend of end users having a small LCD display screen as part of one's PC case, so as to display vital PC statistics or even static images or videos of their choice, and in doing so, spruce up the appearance of one's PC build. The said port supports a maximum display resolution of 1920 by 1080 at 30Hz. Along the bottom edge of the board, we get a TPM header for an optional discrete Gigabyte TPM module, a noise detection header that can be hooked up to an optional noise detection cable so as to monitor noise levels inside of your PC case, a clear CMOS header, as well as an additional reset header in addition to the reset leads that you already get with the front panel header. In case you're wondering where the CMOS battery for this board is, it's located underneath the chipset heatsink, and you'll have to remove the said heatsink to get to the CR2032 battery, which is going to require some effort. In terms of expansion slots, this board comes with a fancy looking PCIe 5.0 X16 slot for a graphics card. The said slot sports Gigabyte's PCIe UD Slot X design that reinforces the slot for use with heavy graphics cards, and it even comes with an inner rubber lining strip for the slot so as to protect your graphics card's PCB from scratches during installation and removal. As can be seen, the slot also comes with the PCIe Easy Latch Plus feature that helps make removing a graphics card from the slot less of a painful affair. We do also get a full-length PCIe 4.0 X16 slot that operates at X4 mode, and a full-length PCIe 3.0 X16 slot that operates at X2 mode. Do note that PCIe 5.0 is only supported when you have a Ryzen 9000 series or Ryzen 7000 series processor installed. It's worth noting that the Ryzen 8000 series of APUs and CPUs only support the PCIe 4.0 standard. In the storage department, Gigabyte has included 4 SATA 3 ports, with all ports in a right-angled configuration so as to aid with cable management. For M.2 slots, it comes with 2 PCIe 5.0 x4 M.2 slots and 2 PCIe 4.0 x4 M.2 slots. Do note that all of these slots support NVMe SSDs only. M.2 SATA drives will not work in any of these slots. That said, the M.2 heatsinks feature a toolless design called M.2 Easy Latch Click, which makes removing and installing the heatsinks a cinch. The large shared heatsink also comes with Gigabyte's new M.2 Easy Match feature, which makes reattaching the heatsink to the motherboard very easy thanks to the use of magnets to guide the heatsink into place, which definitely helps things along for sure. Another quality of life feature that the M.2 slots have is M.2 Easy Latch Plus, which makes installing and removing a M.2 drive a toolless affair. Finally, the 2 PCIe 5.0 x4 M.2 slots come with a heat dissipation feature called M.2 Easy Flex, where we get a thermal pad on an elastic base that can help to improve contact between the SSD and the heatsink, which is great. As mentioned earlier, this board comes with improvements to the way that PCIe lane sharing occurs. In case you're unaware, here's a quick lowdown on why we've got lane sharing on most, if not all, X870E and X870 motherboards. The X870E and X870 chipsets are effectively a rebrand of the previous generation X670E and B650E chipsets respectively, with USB 4 support made mandatory by AMD, where given that these chipsets have pretty much the same silicon and hence a fixed number of PCIe 5.0 lanes, motherboard manufacturers have had to look elsewhere for PCIe 5.0 lanes to support the now mandatory USB 4 controller. As a result of this, the first few waves of X870E and X870 boards saw the PCIe 5.0 X16 slot sharing bandwidth with at least one of the PCIe 5.0 X4 M.2 slots that X870E and X870 boards have, which isn't really ideal. With the later waves of X870E and X870 motherboards, board manufacturers have wisened up, and lane sharing now tends to happen just between the PCIe 5.0 X4 M.2 slot and the USB 4 controller, which in my opinion is the lesser of two evils. In the case of the X870E AORUS ELITE X3D, the second PCIe 5.0 X4 M.2 slot M2B_CPU, shares lanes with the USB 4 controller, where if you've got a M.2 drive installed in slot M2B_CPU, both slot M2B_CPU and the USB 4 controller will run at X2 speeds instead. Again, do bear in mind that PCIe 5.0 is only supported with a Ryzen 9000 series or Ryzen 7000 series processor. The Ryzen 8000 series of APUs and CPUs only support the PCIe 4.0 standard, and if you do have a Ryzen 8000 series offering installed with this board, the second M.2 slot, M2B_CPU, will be disabled entirely. For audio, Gigabyte has included a higher-end Realtek ALC1220 audio codec with premium audio capacitors. Wired internet connectivity is courtesy of a Realtek RTL8126 chip that provides support for 5 Gigabit Ethernet, while Wi-Fi support is courtesy of a Qualcomm QC-NCM865 Wi-Fi 7 part that supports the full-fat 320 MHz channel width and also serves up Bluetooth 5.4 support. In the cooling and RGB departments, the board comes with 8 fan headers that are located in these areas of the board. Also included are 3 addressable RGB headers and a single 12V RGB header located in these areas. Moving over to the rear I/O, the X870E AORUS ELITE X3D goes for an integrated I/O shield design, where the said I/O shield also comes with ventilation openings in the form of parallelogram shapes. The board comes with a HDMI 2.1 port that supports a maximum resolution of up to 1496 by 2160 at 60Hz, a reset button and a power button that allow you to reset and power on the PC respectively, perhaps in an open case environment, a clear CMOS button, as well as a QFlash Plus button that allows end users to update the board's BIOS without needing to install a CPU, RAM or graphics card. We also get 5 USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type A ports, with this port here supporting the QFlash Plus feature, a USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type C port, 2 USB 4 Type-C ports that support DisplayPort video output with a maximum supported display resolution of 3840 by 2160 at 240Hz, a 5 Gigabit Ethernet port, 3 USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type-A ports, a Wi-Fi antenna connector with the new Wi-Fi Easy Plug design, as well as your usual audio jack connectors. Now, one new feature that the X870E AORUS ELITE X3D comes with is what Gigabyte terms X3D Turbo Mode 2.0, which, according to their marketing spiel, can boost the performance of AMD's gaming-oriented Ryzen X3D chips with just a click in the BIOS. As per what can be found on Gigabyte's website, we get a max performance and extreme gaming setting that can be enabled from within the BIOS, where they basically apply a set of predetermined overclocking values to your processor, where we get a certain amount of increase in max boost clock, the application of a certain value of curve optimizer, and so on. For the extreme gaming setting in particular, from what I understand, it'll disable simultaneous multi-threading, or SMT for short, which can help with gaming performance on AMD's X3D processors. To sum up, the Gigabyte X870E AORUS ELITE X3D is part of a much welcome refresh to Gigabyte's AM5 motherboard lineup, where with this board, we get features such as full-fledged Wi-Fi 7 that supports the 320MHz channel width, 5 Gigabit Ethernet, and improvements to how lane sharing is handled, on top of all the other features that one would come to expect of a high-end AM5 motherboard offering, such as PCIe 5.0 support for a graphics card and 2 M.2 drives, dual USB 4 ports, along with a whole bunch of interesting and helpful features such as sensor panel link, easy latch plus, and so on. With that, thank you so much for watching, hit the like button and get subscribed if you've enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys around the next time.